Hello, all you hardcores. Today we're joined by Terry. How are you doing, Terry?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. Terry, what's going on with boxing? Tell me, what's happening with Conor Benn and Simon Jordan? What has gone on? You called it. I got it wrong.
Yeah, we're telling you for a long time, Simon Jordan isn't the voice of the hardcores. If he was, they would never put him in position like that.
Yeah.
He knows when to be the tough guy, and he knows when to tuck his tail between his legs. He knows.
Yeah, but he's meeting him in Dorchester. They're pulling up in the rollers for tea and scones. What is that? And playing charity matches this month we earn. What? How's it got to that?
It was always that. Now, remember I said to you, this is all a setup. Well, you think Hearn's is just going to go and talk sport because he wants to get grilled. He knew what was coming. It was good for engagement because it made Simon Jordan out to be a hero, and then it made Eddie Hearn out to be a winner. Then they did it again because the public demanded it. And I know some of your fans will moan when I say this. When I say boxing fans are stupid, this is what I mean. Yeah? They just jump on anything that's shiny, and they don't stop and go, oh, hold on. Why would Simon Jordan be batting for us? He's never done that before. Yeah. So when people get upset when I say stuff like this, because I get DMs, Russ, they go, oh, you can't call all boxing fans stupid. I'm like, well, look, here's your evidence. If these guys stopped for a second and said, the smartest thing we can do is just zone out of all of this. Let's stop watching it. Let's stop engaging in it. Yeah. Like most right-minded fans, if you think about it, we all thought the casual fans were stupid back in the day. Yeah, and the hardcores would always look down on the casual fans. But you see the casual fans? They don't watch IFL anymore. They don't watch Boxing Social anymore. They don't watch any of this stuff anymore. They don't watch Matchroom shows anymore because they realize it's a bit of a joke. The only people still watching and crying are the hardcores. As always, they embarrass themselves.
Well, I've embarrassed myself because I really bought into the Simon Jordan thing.
Nah, never. Until you go on there and you're allowed to ask the questions you want to ask, you know they ain't really looking to be held accountable for anything.
Where does this leave Spencer Oliver? Because now that the Gad's been silenced, we'll come to him in a bit. Spencer Oliver looks a bit like a spare part now there, doesn't he, at TalkSport?
No, Spencer's smart. Like, he's still the voice of kind of Sky and Boxer, so he'll keep prodding. He'll only be in trouble if Hearn were to come back to Sky, for example.
Why is Sky in with TalkSport then? They are, aren't they?
They're all connected. Because
Yeah.
remember, Sky need TalkSport for the football side of things. And occasionally for the boxing, but mainly for the football. So it's all connected.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nightmare, isn't it?
No, I just don't watch it.
I just wonder what's the answer?
We stop watching all of this rubbish.
Do you think
the only way you're ever going to change anything is if everyone decides on December 23rd, we're going to go down the pub with our mates that we haven't seen all year because everyone's got families, work and stuff, and we're just going to drink and not care about their reckoning. That's how you really, really impact this. You don't change it any other way. If you're one of the people who watches Day of Reckoning, where they gave you all the fighters you want to see and none of the fights you want to see, if you're one of those people who decides to watch it, you don't have the right to complain about boxing anymore because you're part of the problem.
Yeah. What's the answer to this situation here? Because it looks like we're getting into an era now where the board don't even look relevant anymore, do they?
The board will always be relevant, Russ, and the reason they'll always be relevant is insurance. Yeah. I imagine the board have been through so much now that insurance companies trust them more than they're going to trust the PBA. So if you've got to get your event insured or your fighters insured and they're fighting on PBA shows, it'll cost you more. So it's just easier to do things with the board.
Because they've been going years.
Yeah, their processes are nailed on. Like, we can say what we want about the board in terms of overall governance. But I tell you this now, if you were ever to have a heart attack or a stroke in any sport, you'd rather it was professional boxing. You will be at a hospital quicker as a pro boxer than you will as a rugby player, than you will as a footballer. Can guarantee it.
Yeah. Where does Conor Benn go now with this carry on? What's the next move?
The appeal. The board have been very clear. Until this appeal is heard, we can't grant him anything. So I think that's fair. This is what happens when you get. Remember, he thought he was clever when he said, "Yeah, but I never renewed my license." He thought that was clever. Do you remember that last year? He was like, "Yeah, I never renewed my license." Yeah, well, good luck trying to get it back now.
Yeah, he's in a tight spot now when he's trying to get it back. It backfired on him, that didn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think that's why they've done what they've done this week? Because if you back up 6 days ago, Simon Jordan told it how it were. So in that 6-day period from then, Jordan's been contacted, a meeting's been got. They've had a secret meeting. The title were a secret meeting, and Jordan says that Conor Benn told him Eddie and Tony Sims didn't know about it. Do you believe that?
Nope.
Nobody believes it, do they?
Well, if we don't believe that about the interview, we can't believe they knew nothing about the doping.
Exactly.
You can't have one or the other. If they knew about the meeting, they knew about the doping.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you could make a film out of this, couldn't you really? You know, in years to come.
They did already, Russ. It's called Dumbo.
Dumbo. You know, all the characters, you've got Callum Montana, Eddie Hills, you've got Tony Sims, ex-convict, but I like Tony. There's Crusher Ben there, snarling away, burning about in his roller. And Simon Jordan there. You know, he's everybody's pal now, and he reminds me of Sam Jones. We'll come to him later, won't we?
These are all people who once upon a time in boxing would never have been allowed in the circle.
Yeah.
That lets you know how far boxing's regressed. None of those guys would have been allowed in the circle.
Well, we've now got Sam Jones putting meetings together between Crusher Ben and Simon Jordan, the Judge Jordan. What's all that about?
So what they've done, you see with their silly little Twitter profiles, what they've been able to do is create cult followings, right? Where people want to hear what Sam Jones has to say. Like I said to you before, the real problem is the boxing fan. Why do you care about Sam Jones? Sam Jones has no fighters that you should really be caring about. So what has he got to say that you care about? But then again, the same question is, the hell have I got to say that you should care about? And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So you got that. You got Simon Jordan, who's most famous for shagging Jordan, and not even like the prime Jordan. I think he got like Dwight York's leftovers.
Oh my God, he'd been there with that weapon. Hey? I read a book in jail. She said you were packing heat. That were her exact words. And she was rubbing Dane Bauer's nose in it when he was texting her all the time. So Simon Jordan's had to follow Big Dwight.
Oh. And then you've got Silver Spoon Eddie and God knows who else. Silver Spoon Caller as well. You got this cast of characters who, if they're in your local pub, you wouldn't spend 5 minutes with them. Yet, as boxing fans, you're there watching what they say, sharing the content, speaking on the content. Just turn it off, man. Do you know what I mean? Turn it off. You know, boxing's about the fighters and the people who help them get ready. That's all that matters.
Yeah, it's funny because people actually email me and comment to me and say, "Oh, I think that's a good thing that Sam Jones has done, bringing them together." And that he's like, let's all hold hands and sing "We Are the World," according to Sam Jones from Derby.
But why is he bringing them together? Because Simon Jordan's not going to get Conor Benn's license back. Yeah. So what is it? Is it that Conor Benn's trying to control public perception again? Yeah. And if he is, it's going to backfire because the thing that we're annoyed about hasn't changed. You failed 2 drugs tests and we still don't understand why. or what we think we understand why, but you haven't given us a credible reason to change our opinion. That's it. We're over a year into this and we still feel the same way. You failed 2 drugs tests. You failed them. And we've asked various questions. Are you upset at the way they collected the sample? Apparently not. Are you upset with the way they took the sample to the lab in the chain of custody? Apparently not, because he's not suing the lab. Are you upset with the testing methodology? You can't be, because it's WADA accredited. They have to do what WADA tells them to do. So what is it Conor Benn is upset about when it comes to the test? The test seems to have been done the right way. If it turns out that that test was done incorrectly, then everyone's got to go and look at their fucking prostate results and their breast cancer results and go, are you sure? That's why they can't get it wrong, Porky. Do you know what I mean? Like, these labs test everything.
Yeah. They know what they're doing, don't these people?
Well, mate, so every few years they have to go for this ISO accreditation, right? I don't know if it's ISO in labs, but they'll have the accreditation they have to do. And this accreditation means that your error rate has to be like 0.003%. Do you know what I mean? Like basically you don't ever get it wrong. Yeah, you follow your processes 100% of the time. It's always documented and it's always reviewed every month, every quarter, every year. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, Conor Benn's got to show me he's that rigorous in terms of what he eats and what he puts in his body, and I don't believe he is.
He said he was, though, didn't he, in an interview? He said everything's weighed, monitored and wrote down, didn't he?
Oh, where's the book then? Show us the book.
He hasn't, has he?
Well, you know why? Because it doesn't exist.
Yeah. What about the 270-page dossier? It's now a 40-page one.
Even more so, what about Dr. Oz? No one's asked Conor Benn about Dr. Oz.
Where's he gone, him? He's done a disappearing act. He's done a Tony Bellew.
Right, he's chilling in Liverpool. He's good.
You know what I mean? It's like a whodunit, isn't it?
No, but let me say this for the record. I want this to be noted. Dr. Oz is not the reason Conor Benn failed those drugs tests. So this is factual. Dr. Oz didn't get involved until after the second failure. And then they said he can't fail another test. So Dr. Oz came in to make sure he never failed another test. So Dr. Oz has got nothing to do with this. But we asked the question about Dr. Oz because we want to know, why was he brought in?
Well, Ben's obviously failed the second test, didn't he? They tried to hush them as well, don't forget. Let's have it right.
That's what I'm saying. You see, these are the questions you expected Simon Jordan to ask. Why didn't he ask them? Why hasn't Spencer Oliver asked these questions?
Maybe they're only allowed to ask so many questions.
No. The boxing hardcores should be saying, we're not backing anyone that's not asking the most obvious question. Why was Dr. Oz involved? And no one can say he wasn't, because remember that night, it was a Saturday night when they announced the Ben Eubank fight, and I sent you that screen grab, and I said, oh, this is going to get messy.
Yeah, I remember.
Straight away, because I was like, he was out there shouting too much. I was like, who's this Dr. Oz? Wow, okay. And I looked at who he worked with. When you've got syringes in your bio, mate, like...
I know it wasn't exactly best bit of advice. I think a lot of things Conor Benn's done off his own back. People giving him advice. We aren't going through Eddie, and he's made big, huge mistakes, hasn't he?
I don't think things are great between him and Eddie. I've just heard things that Conor's not happy with Eddie. He feels this messes down to Eddie.
Does he?
Yeah.
Well,
but it is though. Like, if we're honest, we kind of want to see Conor Benn fall because we know it's going to hurt Eddie Hearn. The part of us feels like that.
Yeah, it's a mess. Now moving on to Sam Jones, because we know about this Simon Jordan and Ben thing. That's just a joke. This Sam Jones situation. Where did he even come from, Terry? He's just like turned up, hasn't he, in sport?
Wow. Well, I think I can answer this one. So if you go back to, what was the year? 2016, before Hey Bell, you won, right? there was a plan, and I was there. And Schaefer came down, and it was all about Ringstar, right? That was what was going to be David's next thing. He was going to become the new Eddie Hearn. The plan was beat Bellew, fight Joshua, and whatever happens in that Joshua fight, Ringstar gets launched.
Yeah.
And so Hay was going to be the Eddie Hearn for the Ringstar operation. And so they were looking for fighters. They said, mate, if you got anyone who you think would be good enough. So I put 3 lads forward that I thought would be good. Signed the NDAs. I might still have like the contract somewhere. I've moved house since, I don't know. So it was all meant to be about Ringstar, but that Ringstar thing started to unravel, and for any number of reasons, but mainly funds, disorganization and stuff. And then that's when I started to hear about, Sam Jones, because he was palling up with that Morley kid, came down from Derby, knew a few people in boxing through, I think it's like One Nation, like Clifton, Sandy and that. And then I started to hear about his name. Who's this Sam Jones? And then he started to look after Joe. And then after that, bam. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't get rid of him. But it's been since that pilgrimage to Dubai that he's become a completely different character. And so he gets wheeled out strategically when they need someone to distract the public from what's important. So he comes on, it's like, right, make sure you put this guy over, make sure you pull this guy down a little bit, make sure you give this guy a bit of bail, all that sort of stuff. He does. And the outlets love it because, like I said, the casuals don't know who Sam Jones is and they don't care. It's hardcores, man. It's those guys sitting in their terrace house and God knows where. It's those guys who can't cut the cord. They're addicts. They call themselves hardcores. What they are is they're addicts. And Sam Jones knows that. And he just feeds them any old rubbish and they buy into it. That's who Sam Jones is. All of that Sam Jones, that Adam Morley, all that kind of, I don't want to say, I don't even know how you describe it. Call them a bunch of misfits, essentially.
So,
all thought they were going to make a truckload of money with David Hay. It didn't work out that way. So now they're all kind of scrambling around trying to make money in boxing, and they're realizing it's not that easy.
Not that easy at all. You've got to kiss male arsehole to get on, haven't you? If you're at his level, haven't you?
Oh, with full tongues as well, mate.
Oh my God, some of it. I mean, he's yeah, he's got his tongue that far up Eddie Hearn's arsehole. He's eating his Nando's for him, isn't he? It's that bad, isn't it? Cheeky Nando's. How did he get in with Joe Joyce then? Because I want to correct this, because he's putting it about that he did his best for Joe Joyce, but weren't Joe mandatory at one point?
Yeah.
Why didn't they enforce the mandatory like Mick Hennessy did for Howard Eastman, Bernard Hopkins, and Carl Froch for Carl Zaghi?
Well, let's roll it back, right? When Joe was mandatory, he couldn't get any fights, Russ.
Yeah.
And Joe was okay with that. And I know that because obviously Joe and I have mutual friends. Joe was okay with waiting, by the way. But you know who wasn't okay with waiting, don't you? The whole machine around Joe.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we need to get paid. We need to get our money.
Yeah.
Then they fight a guy in Zhile Zhang who gave Hrgovic hell. I'm looking at that going, why would you even pick that?
Yeah.
You're trying to portray Joe as a Superman, but Joe's got a style that works against certain people. It works against people he can overwhelm. If Hrgovic could overwhelm Zhang, Joe Joyce can't overwhelm Zhang.
Yeah.
Why not make the Yoka fight?
The rematch.
Yeah.
From the Olympics. Why didn't they enforce the mandatory with a simple letter to say we're taking legal action if you don't give our guy his title shot? It's very simple. Why not?
So all the belts are going to be called in sequence, Russ. Right? So next will be, I think next is the IBF. And then it'll be like the WBA. Then it'll be the WBO. So Joe would have had to wait at least 2.5 years. Remember, all of these fights now come with rematch clauses. So every world title fight happens twice now, unfortunately. So Joe would have had to wait a while because they've kind of agreed an order in which the mandatory is going to be called for the heavyweight title. It's a joke. Whoever, if there is an undisputed fight, which we're all kind of wary of, scatter the damn belts when it's done. We don't want a rematch for the belts. Just scatter the belts, please. Like Crawford's done. Crawford's just let the belts go.
Yeah. Do you feel that Joe Joyce is better off just fighting tick over fights to keep a bit of money coming in, waiting for his title shot rather than risking it all on Zhang?
Yeah, I think that's smart management.
But they didn't, did they?
There you go.
So who's the fall guy then out of that then? Because they're not working together now, are they?
Isn't he still with? Well, so Joe. I don't think Sam Jones was involved in the Zhang fight. Well, he might have been from afar, but it's all those other guys, isn't it? The S Jam lot. But then, what's the real connection? Mate, this is what I mean about it's all a joke.
S Jam. It sounds like a jar of jam, doesn't it? I don't understand all that S Jam. What?
Sam Jones, Adam Morley.
Oh, right. Is that how they call it? S Jam. Oh my God. Couldn't they think of something a bit better than that?
Nah, of course not.
So that's basically his introduction into boxing.
Yeah, he just wormed his way in, like most people do. Talk a good game. Yeah, I mean.
Well, I keep turning my internet on and I have a lot of comments and people asking me a lot of things, right? Every time I turn the internet on, we've got a Sunday sermon or a Monday mass. It's either Dave Caldwell, we'll come to him in a bit, or Sam Jones lately. That's what we're seeing.
Yeah, but Russ, you know why though, don't you?
Why?
Because the same people who get annoyed when I call them stupid wake up every morning and the first thing they do is they go on YouTube and they go looking for the stuff. They go looking for it. And if it's not there, they moan. They tweet like, oh my God, where's Sam Jones on this Sunday? These are the people that call themselves hardcores, man. Like, these bedwetters embarrass me when it comes to the sport.
Yeah. Okay. Jamie Moore's come out and done an interview. He's not got the same energy that he had last week regarding the dare we even talk about the Island show, man? Gee, my inbox is on fire if you mention anything to do with that show.
Mate, so was mine.
Oh my God. But Jamie Moore's come out and he said Katy Taylor won and the headbutts, it happens. And I thought, well, I didn't see that same energy the week before, did we? It all looks like everybody's softened down on it now and everybody's friends and all that. But yeah, we didn't. It wasn't like that for Jack Catterall, was it? Which, you know, they had plenty to say on that. But this one's a little bit more different to the Catterall one, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, there's more money in Katy Taylor, right? Yeah. If they're going to try and make a fight in a stadium, and I still don't believe it will be Croke Park or the Aviva, I think it'll be the RDS Stadium where Leinster play their rugby. That's probably the best bet you're going to get. Because when I talk to people in Ireland, the view is she's not going to do Croke Park. Like the card you'd have would have to be ridiculous. And also, and I know people pull me up on this. I know that there was a big deal when England played rugby at Croke Park because of the historical thing, the blackened towns and all that sort of stuff. So how on earth are you going to get English fighters into Croke Park and the Irish be okay with that? I don't know the answer to that, but that's something you got to consider. The Aviva, maybe, but when are you going to get the availability for the Aviva, seeing as Leinster play most of their games there now? I don't know. I just don't think commercially Hearn would take a risk with the Aviva. I think it'll be something like the RDS at best. There may be another stadium I haven't thought of, and if there is, lads, feel free to let me know.
Yeah. Jack Catterall, what's happening with him now, Terry?
Mate, I've always told you he's irrelevant.
He's fighting Richardson Hitchens, a matchroom fighter, but we were led to believe that his current management, which is you know who, God, he gets everywhere, doesn't he? His current management were getting him the Josh Taylor fight, and that's Sam Jones. He gets where water gets him, doesn't he?
Hey, listen, he gets where sand gets to, right? Because he knows all about that desert lifestyle. He knows the desert tactics. I mean, like, we can call Sam Jones Desert Storm now.
The
Because
desert
mate, you nailed it. So he's got to keep the money coming in. So Catterall's got to fight who Catterall's got to fight. You know, Hearn has made himself a friend of the United Arab Emirates. So that's what we're going to see now. A lot of those guys who used to be under one management company are all going to box and matchroom shows.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I feel sorry for Jack Catterall about that Josh Taylor fight, but it's 2 years ago more or less now, isn't it?
Yeah, like the world's moved on.
Yeah. Boxing's changed in 2 years, Terry, hasn't it?
The decline's been steady, but it's coming.
Yeah. The Cobra digging Eddie Hills out on his comments section, calling him the Iceman. I've just sent you it. Have you seen that? Have a look at that. Probably a bit of banter, isn't it? Eddie will be able to take it. He's a big ex-heavyweight boxer, isn't he?
Let's have a look. Yeah, Frost is on fire, man. Listen, he dug me out. Remember I sent you the thing?
Yeah.
Where he hit me with the pop bang.
Old Eddie Hills, bless him. I forgot my train of thought there. Do you watch Carl's channel actually? His videos are not bad, are they?
Yeah, they're getting better.
Yeah, he's getting more comfortable in front of the camera. It's a bit better with eye candy on there. His missus, though, isn't it? He dropped on there. He's probably getting more views because of Rachel on there.
Hey, listen, you know, the grifters for us all, Russ. I mean, not just for world champions.
Yeah. Speaking of Essex's opening fast bowler tearing in like Bob Willis, we're not sure if it's Essex under 16s or 19s. The story keeps changing. But Julian's actually gone through some paperwork, and I'm just going to ask you your opinion on it. From 1991 onwards, if you fought as an amateur, everybody had a copy, didn't they, of the night's work. So if he'd had them amateur shows, been on them amateur shows, nobody's come forward, have they really, with any footage to say they were on a show with Eddie? Do you think it was just like an interim spar or something, inter-gym spar that he had? Or do you think it's or do you think it's knackers? He dug his sen in an hole and it's just gone on and on and on.
Remember when this first came out, Russ? What was the first thing I said to you?
They wheeled that guy out though, didn't they, on IFL? But it got the stories, did it?
No. Go back to when it first happened, Russ.
Oh yeah,
what's the first thing I said to you?
4-0, wasn't it?
No, you're avoiding the. What was the first thing I said to you, Russ?
I can't remember now. Go on, remind me.
I said to you, if Eddie Hearn had ever had a fight, Eric Guy would have the video.
Yeah, Eric Guy. Well, that's who I got that other footage of. Well, I spoke to Eric. Yeah, go on, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, rest in peace to Eric Guy, by the way. But I said to you, Eric had filmed everything from Matchroom from like 87. Like, he's the guy that filmed Ben sparring Roberto Duran.
He got me the John Fury footage, didn't he? When nobody had handed it over, he got it, didn't he?
And that's what I mean. So if Hearn had ever boxed, there would have been a video from Eric Guy, and we'd have seen it, right?
Yeah.
And that was the first thing I thought. And even I messaged Eric, "Have you got that video?" He's like, "No."
No.
And I was like, "No, he ain't fought no one." And then my second point was, you're telling me that their kids sat in Essex right now, in their late 30s, early 40s, however old they were. You're telling me that there are kids in Essex who are sat on these videos and they haven't sold them to the media? I was like, hell no. I was like, the video doesn't exist because he never had the fight.
Yeah.
And you can see from remember when he was sparring Frank Smith?
Yeah.
You could see that he hadn't fought. Like, it's one of those things you just know from the way someone shapes up, you could see he hadn't fought. He may have hit the bag and he may have done some speedball work and some pad work, but I was like, look at his face when Frank Smith comes in. He's not comfortable in that environment.
Yeah. He did beat Frank though, didn't he? Spotty Frank.
But you'd beat Spotty Frank.
Yeah. Did you see some of them big shots we were putting into Spotty Frank's Blancmange Fury back? Some of them shots had some mustard on them, didn't they? And Frank were going red, wasn't he?
Nah, Hearn would be easy work, man. But also remember, that's the guy who, what's Hearn? Hearn's 6'5" and about 17.5 stone.
Yeah. He couldn't get Frank out there, could he?
He dropped him though.
Hey. Right, Julian.
Because you know when that happened, right? When that happened, when I saw they were doing that, I messaged my mate who was there. I said, find out if I can come down and do that. I'm more than happy to come down. I was like, Hearn can have 10-ounce gloves for all I care. I will come down. I'm like, nah, don't do that.
Yeah. Julian's asked me to ask you, what right has anybody got in boxing, mainly promoters and managers, to tell people they must train with a certain person to get in the mix? What do you think to that, for a question?
So does he mean, because I read the question two ways.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more who's got the right to tell a fighter who to train with, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's that. That's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So my answer is always that if you've never had to be in that environment, you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So when I hear fans say, go to this trainer, go to that trainer.
Oh, to Adam Booth.
You always like talk over me, don't you? Don't interrupt me.
Well, I'm doing Adam Booth. No, but for a long time on Twitter, and this went on for about a good 2 or 3 years, there was a bit of a brigade on there that the answer just seemed to be go to Adam Booth, and people got fed up of it in the end, didn't they?
Yeah. So one of the things I've learned, Russ, being around different trainers is horses for courses. So if someone comes up to me and says, who should I train with? I don't necessarily think about medals and accolades and stuff. I always think about what kind of personality are you and what kind of personality is that trainer? Would you two be a good fit together? And so this happened before. There was a fighter, and this fighter was with one superstar trainer, but wasn't happy because they never got the quality time with that trainer. So they left and said, where should I go next? And I said, you might want to go to this other superstar trainer because character-wise, you two will really get along. It might be a bit of a trek for you, but you'll thrive in that environment. It will bring the best out of you, unlike the other place you were at. And so you've got to have those conversations. I'll never tell someone to leave a trainer, by the way. I've never said that. I'll always just say, look, are you in the right environment? Because when you're training someone, it's a two-way thing, Russ. Like, I can give you what I know in my head, but you've literally got to give me your career, your soul, your life. You got to give that to me. And if you can't give me that, you're not going to get up in the morning and run.
Yeah.
You're not going to stay on weight. You're not going to spar as hard as you can. That relationship is important. And I always say you can always judge a trainer. Like, if you look at Brendan Ingle, look at how people still talk about Brendan Ingle.
Yeah.
Because he had that. He had the heart and soul of his fighters.
Yeah. Yeah. They wanted to knock walls down for Brendan, didn't they? People like Johnny Nelson and that, didn't they?
Yeah. Now, most people in the public don't understand these kind of undertones. They see the pad work, they see a kid in the gym, they see what happens on fight night. What they don't see are the moments when you've got to take a 2-hour walk with your fighter and say, listen, what's really going on? And then they pour their hearts out to you, and you got to help them in life, not just in boxing. You got to help them in life. Or they've never had to go to a hospital when one of their fighters has been stabbed, and you're trying to explain to the kid's mum what happened and why it wasn't, why it didn't happen on your watch and stuff. And you're there, and you got a kid next to you. He's crying. Yeah, he's crying because his mum's crying, and you're like, God, this is crazy. If you haven't gone through that, you don't understand how hard this job of a trainer is, because most fans, what do? Oh, look how many world champions he's trained. Oh, look at his pad work. And they always talk like they know, and they don't know, because like you train with your trainer realistically about an hour and a half every day, right?
Yeah.
That's what you do. But the rest of the time, you're still messaging, you're still on the phone to each other. If there isn't that love and that respect, it doesn't matter.
Do you feel,
And,
Terry? Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, so when people make these loud opinions, and it's always after a defeat, it's never after a victory.
Or a bad performance.
Yeah. And then, who was it? It was
Josh
Fowler, wasn't it? Do you remember when Fowler was with Caldwell?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's when he lost to Fitzgerald, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then he went to Shane, and people said, oh, Fowler looks better now that he's with Shane. But he wasn't fighting Scott Fitzgerald. He wasn't even fighting a Fitzgerald level guy. He fought a guy a few levels below. Of course you're going to look good. He would have looked that good with Caldwell. But people don't understand that. They don't understand the complexity of the fighter-trainer relationship. So I think generally most people should just stay out of it. Just don't have an opinion on it because you don't have all the data.
I think Caldwell got a raw deal with Fowler, to be honest. You know, after that, because if he'd have got the nod in that fight, he keeps his job, doesn't he?
I don't know if he does. Like I said, Ross, we don't know what was happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because if I'm really loyal to you, Russ, and you're my trainer, I'm not leaving you after one fight.
Yeah. Do you think it's important, Terry, for fighters to be in a gym that's got a good vibe about it? You know, where everybody's on it.
You always want to be in a gym where the standards are insanely high, especially early in your career. Like when you turn over, you want to be in a gym where the standards are insanely high. That's because that will bring the best out of you. And when you're young, that's when you're more receptive to that. I think what happens a lot of times is people end up in gyms where the standards aren't great. And so they never fulfill their potential. And then they get bitter about boxing. They go, I never got the glory my talent deserved. And it's like, well, you're in the wrong environment. Yeah. Like, look, I can name people that I've worked with behind the scenes, Russ. And when I worked with them, career best performances. Yeah. And then everyone gave the trainer credit. They said, oh my God, this trainer is amazing because he did this, right? Mm. And then their trainer said, you can't work with him anymore. Okay, cool. Then the performances became mediocre, and then the decline sets in. And I just watch from afar, and I go, there you go. You make bad decisions in life, it catches up to you. Yeah, it does. Do you want to go on to part 2, pal? All right, mate, no worries.